important thing about setting these goals, particularly, let's say, the 3 or 4 primary ones that you will not compromise on. It's a great way to, you should do that before you see this attorney, whatever it is.
That's true.
Because you start talking about these goals. If he's telling, well, you can't do that, you know, it's not the custom in this court, and, you know, that's a sure signal to get the heck out of there and find somebody who's going to back you up.
Absolutely.
But maybe you are asking for something unreasonable. Like, for instance, with most men, asking for custody seems to be a very unreasonable request.
Only because society has made it unreasonable.
Yeah, but that's the reality right now.
Oh, absolutely. However, we are making, you know, waves or wavelengths, whatever you want to call it. And to Steve's point, before you do go to an attorney, you want to contact your father's rights organizations. You want to contact mediation centers. You want to talk to as many people as you can to create your goals of what's in the right mindset for you and in the best interest of the children, your little unit. You do, before you go to the attorney, because then you have something to present to him. And I think it's important that you have a dedicated presentation to that attorney so that he knows what you want. You're good to go.
At least to second base already.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he knows exactly what it is that you want. And the other thing about it too is that you really, my thought about it is never let the court decide things. You put look at the court as a negotiating platform. This is really what it is. Oh, you're there to negotiate. You don't want that judge to make a decision. What you want to do is present your case, present the evidence, whatever you need to do. You know, maybe it could involve maybe just bringing your ex back to court time and time again, you know, taking him off her job or her off of the job or whatever it is, so that eventually you bring enough pressure into the situation that you begin to get your way. You don't want that judge to make the decision.
And unfortunately, since New York State is a false state, it's also a litigious state. So
what does that mean?
It means it's a very adversarial state. They want you to fight. If you're going to go to court and
who does, the lawyers or the courts?
The lawyers and the courts. I refer to the famous cartoon when a basketball player decided he was going to get a divorce, and all of the lawyers lined up and they said, well, this is going to be a windfall. And then when the basketball player said, well, my wife and I, we've decided to reconcile, and the cartoon was all these lawyers jumping off buildings and killing themselves because they don't make money if there's no litigation. If you can go into court, and if you're going to file for the divorce, make sure you file for the divorce. You fire the first shot, as it were. Also, another thing.
If you're not first, at least counter.
Or at least counter.
Right.
Men make the mistake of being served with a divorce and then using their soon-to-be ex-wife's lawyer to finish the divorce. And then when they get the settlement, it's not what they want. Now they want to complain, but they can't because legally you must counter the divorce with your demands. That's procedurally the way it's done in court.
And you shouldn't use the other person's attorney anyway. It's against the code of ethics that lawyers have.
Here's the downside to that, though, Efrain, and it happened in my case. When you file, you look like the bad guy. You look like the one in the children's eyes who is bringing the divorce, and the other person looks like the victim. Well, even if you didn't initiate it, even if you just wanted to finalize something that's been dragging on, you come out looking like the bad guy.
And that's interesting you mentioned the children, because a lot of guys tell us at our meetings that they didn't want to hurt the children. Well, the kids are going to get hurt. They're already hurt. Somebody filed for the divorce. Whoever filed, the children are hurt. The children know that their lives are going to be disrupted. The only thing that the parents can do is make the transition as smooth as possible. But when they make it acrimonious, when they start using sexual abuse of the children as bait, or they use domestic violence as a bait, or false accusations, they incarcerate the other parent on charges of domestic violence. They deny them access to the children, even though there's an agreement for visitation. Then the children begin to have this mindset.
And that's why we ask that they get counseling within the school, or some sort of counseling.
A lot of schools have what's called, on the side, what's called banana splits. Banana Splits is a program where children of divorced parents or soon-to-be divorced parents can talk to a social worker with other children just like them, so that they know they're not alone. A lot of school districts have it. And if your school district doesn't, maybe you want to ask them and see if they can do that. That was just on a quick aside, people.
Steve, you know what I wanted to ask? Does it matter how old a child is in a divorce? In other words, do older children handle it better, do you think, than younger children?
It's a difficult thing. It just depends on the child. I think in my own case, the kids are fairly young, and they seem to handle it pretty well, by and large. I mean, part of that was involved was really an alienation from them, but in terms of their mental stability, if you want to look at that, you know, as a criterion, they seem to handle it well. But you get older, I don't know. It's
Depends.
I think it very much depends on the child.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It also depends on how much of a disruption there's going to be in the
Right.
children's lives. If the children are forced to move in with another family or with the grandparents, if the children get displaced to another school district where they don't have any friends, if they see their father taken away in handcuffs, that's a very positive, very powerful image
Of negativity.
of negativity. You know, daddy must have did something, or don't take daddy away. As a police officer, I know many times we've had to go in and remove a parent based on an allegation of domestic violence when we knew that this was a prelude to a divorce action, but because they had an order of protection that said don't conduct yourself in a manner, and they alleged that the manner was done, we have to remove the parent, and there's just no say. So going back to what you said about the do's and don'ts, another thing that men should not do is, like you said, don't leave the house. If you live in a home, stay in the home. If you have to live on the sofa, sleep on the sofa. If you have another room, sleep in another room. But don't leave the house.
And if she'd like to leave instead, it's without the kids. The
don't-
kids should stay in the home.
Don't make the kids a part of the
Right.
equation. The kids are not a part of the deal. They will stay with the house. It's interesting because a lot of divorces now have a situation where the children remain in the house
That's right.
and the parents move in and out.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very
We've
popular.
seen
It's
that,
actually,
yes.
somebody is very popular in Westchester, Syracuse, Utica, some of the bigger cities. And I guess it has a lot to do with the fact that housing is hard to get and housing is very expensive.
Well, it keeps the kids in the same school
And
system.
exactly
Right.
right. You want to keep the kids grounded. So we personally think that until the divorce is finalized, that's a pretty good way to
That's a
go.
good idea. Yeah, we like that.
Maria, speaking about kids, what about alienation? Have we made any headway about bringing parental alienation?
We've made some progress. Newer studies have come out in regards to alienation, where they're saying that it's not so much a syndrome, but a series of different symptoms, where one of the people are not rational and one is more rational than the other, and unfortunately, the person who's more irrational is not able to grasp reality and not able to handle things without having the kids as their pawns or their pecking posts. They hold on to them as if they are their therapists. So that's what we're finding. However, men are making more progress toward diffusing that by not entertaining the banter, which is no confrontations, by not admitting to anything that they didn't do. Because if they have not done anything, then they shouldn't admit to anything.
Still, the spouse that has custody of the child really does have a lot of control.
Well, that's true, but one thing that I do suggest before they, again, when they have their court order drawn, we suggest, as our group, that they have every single item in their document so that there's no gray area. All holidays, all school holidays, all weekends, half the summer. I mean, everything just written out so that it's in black and white. Your pages might be 100 pages, but you know what? You got it all there.
It's called a positive parenting plan.
Yes.
A lot of judges have embraced this concept of taking the child's school calendar and laying out a shared parenting schedule based on the kid's time. When his Easter break is, when his spring break is, when summer break is, how the weekends are going to work. Are they going to be midweeks? You lay it all out on the calendar, you give it to the court will be so appreciative because, as Steve said before, you don't want the court to make that decision.
No.
So you come up with a document that the court will look at and praise you for because you've done their job.
Right.
And it's in the child's best interest.
Steve, on past shows of divorce, you've talked about mediation. You know, what are some of the things that could be mediated simply before you go to an attorney?
Well, you can mediate just about anything you're willing to mediate. I mean, and hopefully it's the whole ball of wax. And basically what people have to understand, a mediator is not an arbitrator. A mediator basically is going to